This message is produced by truthfromgod.com, which is one of hundreds of messages that can be read, heard, and watched at truthfromgod.com. The Divine Right published in the Battle Axe, issue 107, December 1976. Amid the darkness of the Marxist communist psychosocial ideology, a new light is breaking forth. The news movement is exposing the thorough corruption and insanity of the present system of thought that has dominated all present political parties. This ideology has been blindly followed by the masses, and now they are wallowing in the ditch of decadence. For the first time in history, America's plunged so low that she cannot see daylight. The Marxists, communists, know that all the individuality of our people must be destroyed in order to gain complete dictatorial control of our once proud nation. All men of uniqueness, character, courage, and indomitable spirit must be reduced to the level of the masses or else be annihilated. A re-educational program was instituted which would destroy all individuality of the people at an early age. The children in school had to be taught the fear of peer acceptance, and that this acceptance was the goal of life. Conformity, compromise, and cooperation were to replace individuality, initiative, and intolerant idealism. The Americans were assaulted on two fronts. One, the political, and two, the religious. On these two battlefields, the essence of was adulterated to the point of non-existence. The teaching that would most prosper the Marxist communists in was the most illogical, unnatural, and irrational ideas that were conceived in the pit of darkness. The brilliance of the glorious prosperity of proud America was soon overshadowed by the dark, foreboding cloud of this negative doctrine of an individual equality. The Republican form of government was silently replaced with a democracy, which is the chief exponent of mass equality. The brotherhood of man became the new watchword at the turn of the 20th century, and the highest ever known to man began to stagnate. The age that should have been the world's brightest rapidly became the darkest. The driving force of the ages, individual genius, was now replaced by the confused babble of the herd. The desire of quantity soon replaced the goal of quality. Industry, government, and society fell under this ghoulish power. Industry began to mass produce at the expense of craftsmanship. The government's healthy sales of statesmen were soon consumed by a cancerous bureaucracy. Society was led to the precipice of annihilation by the delusion that wisdom resided in the masses. The masses were constantly bombarded with the brotherhood of man and quality dogmas, preparing the way for the physical bombardment that was soon to follow. The knew that the masses can never deal in the abstract area of idealism and logical thinking, so their poison of equality was induced in the form of an abstract idea. Equality was a high-sounding, sentimental idea that can never stand the cold, hard scrutiny of reality. Only an idiot could look at nature and believe such a perverted idea as equality. No two individuals are equal. Differences exist even down to the fingertips. No two are equal either. Differences exist in their physical makeup. That is why have Tay-Sachs disease and don't, have sickle cell and don't, and differences exist in their spiritual makeup, and that is why different from that of man. History is a record of inequality. Differences in the level of are the differences of the that produce them. The theory of evolution was just another means to establish this irrational doctrine of the brotherhood of man. Its main tenets were to prove that all were absolutely linked together, having the same common source, therefore were brothers. The religious community was the greatest promoter of this lie, even though their holy book says the contrary. The Bible clearly teaches that God created all and that only the members of were of the heavenly family of God, not created earthly creatures. Perhaps the most devastating influence in this devilish doctrine of equality and the brotherhood of man is that the first purpose of government would no longer be the protecting and prospering of the which founded it, but would be the establishment of a new so that the government would be better able to enslave in a equality would disenfranchise the which brought forth a superior system and would enfranchise the problems now facing our nation have their root in the flood tide slowly increased the perplexing national situation. The real issue of inequality must now be faced. We must openly confess the apparent truth of nature's iron law that all are different and will never produce identical. No matter how cruel this may sound, the facts must be faced. The present policy of pushing forward while forcing down must stop immediately. It was the that conquered the wilderness and conceived the nation. The continued success of this nation is still dependent upon that same race of conquerors. They possess the divine light that illuminates knowledge and brings forth invention. It is upon this inventiveness that the whole future of the world so desperately depends. Without genius and technology, all are doomed to the doldrums of decadent destruction. The house built upon the sand of quality must fall. If our nation is to weather the storms of time, then it will have to build on the rock of the divine right. Perhaps the hardest job we face is the clearing of the land before we can plant our new seeds. It took more work for our fathers to clear the wilderness, pull up the stumps, and turn the ground than it did to seed and reap the crops. It will take our greatest energy to prepare the way for our new order. Our mettle will be tested to see if we are worthy to establish the greatest government ever known to man. During this hour of contest, the superiority of our and the strong, courageous individuals within it will be manifested. Our movement will only attract those whose passionate emotions have been aroused. The courageous will fill our ranks, while the faint-hearted will flee. Dedication, determination, and self-denial will be qualities abundant in our ranks. Our members will be intolerant and fight over the perverted Jew ideas that now poison our nation. Opinions make cowards or heroes, patriots or traitors, criminals or saints. They lead to heaven or hell. Conflict of opinion must become commonplace, for it is the searchlight of history, the greatest revealer of hidden strength or unexpected weakness. There exists a divine right of and individual inequality, and this right will be established by our news movement. The mechanical dog-like training of the will be stopped, and the true development of the individual genius will commence. Positions within industry, government, and society will be filled only from our reservoir. The sickened portions of our national body will be restored to glowing health. America, with only white citizens, will be a nation of high national pride and accomplishment. Americans will be kings, and they will enjoy the vast wealth that their race has produced. This will be realized when we actualize our goal and make the law of God the law of this land. The sacrifice, courage, and determination that you show in the support of our movement will determine how fast we accomplish our divine task. Or organizing their push groups and attacking on every front. Now is the time for us to take the offensive. A new ideology is coming forth. It is vital that we determine what that new ideology is, either for our destruction or advancement. News has taken the first step, and we have set forth to build a new order, society, nation, and based upon the eternal truth of the divine right. This message is produced by truthfromgod.com. which is one of hundreds of messages that can be read, heard, and watched at truthfromgod.com.